Hello guys, Satsuma Benji here with another edition of C++ programming tutorials from noob to programmer. Last time I was here we left with this piece of source code explaining about test statements, and this lesson is going to be about user input. However, just before I get onto that, I need to mention something else about test statements which I forgot in the last video, which I think is rather important. If I had... Okay, first let me just mention, for any primitive type this works, so int, char, bool, float and double, and any other primitive types I've missed off. So if you add just the type name on its own inside the brackets for a test statement, whether it's if, for, while or anything else, then this is tested for its inequality to 0, i.e. if this equals 0 then it returns false. If it is a non-zero value, so anything other than 0 depending on what its type may be, then the if block gets executed. So that works for any primitive type. If I had another type, such as 2 equals 12, there are two operators I want to show. The logical AND operator, which looks like two ampersand symbols, and what that does is it takes everything on the left, checks if that's true. If it is, then it continues to check everything on the right, checks if that's true, and if both of them are true, only if both of them are true, then the if block is tested. And you can have as many of these as you can have as many of them as you want. You can put and var 3 if I had a variable 3, and on, and that'll test if firstly that one, then that one, then that one. If the first one it comes to, which is false, the if statement will be skipped. Okay, and secondly there's the logical OR operator, which looks like that. It's two of these vertical lines, what are usually found by pressing shift and backslash, and what this does, it'll test if one variable or the other variable is true. However, it is an inclusive OR, it's not exclusive. I do believe there is an exclusive OR, but I've completely forgotten what it is. I think it may be that, but that's something to be left in the comments, I believe, if there is an exclusive OR. Yeah, so the first, how this works is the first variable that hits true, so this is tested for true, then it sees the OR operator and it knows it's already got a true variable, so the if block is tested. If this returned false, it had hit the OR, and the first true it sees after it would then activate the if block. So with those out of the way, let's start on user input. I think I'm just going to get rid of all of that and start afresh. So oops, can't type at all. You're familiar with that being the standard to output text to a screen and then insert a new line after it. However, for things like this where I want to enter something on the same line, I am going to get rid of the new line after it. And you know that this using namespace std up here allows me to skip off the std library at the front. Now it's worth mentioning that the thing is also a member of the std library. It is a similar object to what the... there we go. If I hover over these, you can see that cout is a member, sorry, it's an instance of a variable type called std_o stream, meaning output stream. And cin is an instance of the variable type std_i stream, meaning input stream. So if I create a variable such as that, int var_ing, and set it to 0 just for good measure. And how this works is it's got the opposite double triangle dash, I don't really know a name for that, but 2 triangles, brackets, and it's got the opposite direction for variable input. Imagine it as this is your system. Wait, no, never mind. Yeah, imagine it as what's on the left is the user, and on the right is what the system knows. We are sending the user some information from the system, and we are getting from the user some information to go into the system. So this is going to be var3, and then I'm going to cout. Oh, by the way, every time you enter a variable using the cin, you end up hitting enter to submit that variable into the system, and this enter is recognized and typed onto the console, so there is no need to put a new line at the start of this because it's automatically done. And just to test that it works, I'm going to put you entered the number and the number what was entered in, and that is about all there is to it. I'm going to hit compile. Just go open my task manager, not task manager, command prompt, go intro.exe, enter a number. There we go. Oh yeah, I should mention that cin should usually pause for an input, unless in certain situations where see, the problem is that cin is a stream, so under certain situations it may bug out, and because of what types of variables you're asking for and how these variables are entered into the computer. So I'll show a way how to get around that. I'll hopefully try and show a way of where that pops up and try and find a way to get around it. So entering number, I'm just going to 543. You entered the number 543. Now what's actually happening here is that I'm entering 3 different characters. These are all recognized as 3 separate letters to the computer, but that's the clever thing about streams, or the C style functions which handle these, if anyone's doing C programming. I will mention these C style functions later on, but for now that's not important. But the streams take character information and transfer it into an actual number, because each one of these is its own character. If you ignore the spaces too, you can have all you want, and a decimal point is its own character too, and a stream has to read all these characters one by one and try and turn it into a coding valid number representation. So that's the basics of user input, and next video, again I have completely forgotten. Just let me grab onto my iPod. Okay, that's it for user input for now. I will cover a topic later on to do with solving a few errors to do with string types. However, for now that is all we need, and next lesson will be on loop testing. I'll be covering the for loop, while loop and do while loop. I won't be doing the for range loop because that's a little more complex and is not needed for now. Sorry about all my coughing. So come back for loop testing, and lesson after that will be constants and enumerated types, so stick around.